Your dumb face, you fucking idiot.
That's
what I'm laughing at.
We are live. Gentlemen, welcome. The Rundown. May 8th, Red here. We've got Menners. We've got Mayo. And that beautiful fat Portnoy right there is Zonker. Gentlemen, how we doing? Good to see you.
I'm okay.
Been better.
Yeah.
Pissed off at Steve Robinson.
No better day to get you guys here. So we're going to get right into it we're going to talk war. Talking about, it's been a war week, specifically starting with Riccio, Apple, moving on from there. Even Mariah Carey got in there this week. It was a great Kirk Minahan week. But the topic of war, I want to kick it to you, Mayo, first. I've noticed that typically you are not somebody that gets into these fights. I didn't see you with the Mariah fans and everything else. I'm just curious, what's your stance on war and fighting Kirk's wars in particular?
I generally don't give a shit about them. I didn't really care about the Mariah Carey one other than logging into Twitter and seeing that her fans were bombarding Minifans with pornography on Twitter, which was, I said, wow, this is wild. What a world. But then that's it for me. 8 seconds later, I was kind of done with it. And of course, it went for another 48 hours. My confession is that in this particular war, I am treasonous. I voted for Mariah in that poll. But I'm a one-issue voter. And my one issue is, where do the candidates stand and whether my dad's alive in a week? I know where Kirk stands on it. I don't know where Mariah stands on it. So I gave her my vote.
There you go. You should probably ask her about that later on. Menners, I don't know where you stand on the Riccio stuff. I know you've been a listener, you've been following along, you're well aware of Riccio, but where do you stand on the war rooms, the private DMs, the working behind the scenes? Are you involved in that stuff, in favor of that stuff? Where do you stand with the war stuff?
Well, I mean, clearly Mayo's a disloyal fuck. But I mean, I am 100% Team Minahan, so I will go to war with him. I will obviously consider whether the wars are justified. Riccio fucking deserved everything he got, and that was really a true display of the great power of the Minifans. I like when he takes on Apple. Clearly, that's a joke by Kirk. I mean, he's not going to take on Apple, so obviously, I'm not going to go to war with Apple. But yeah, I'm a loyal guy. I think in the Riccio case was fully justified, and usually it is justified to go to war.
I like that. And Zonker, I know you're new to this world relatively. I love having you on because you've been following along closely with everything, especially anything that has to do with Steve Robinson. But when it comes to you watching us and how the Minifans work against our enemies and Kirk's enemies in particular, what does that look like for you as a semi-new listener?
Well, I am pretty new, and that's a disadvantage at looking at some things like who should be on Mount Rushmore because I don't have all the background.
Right.
For other things, it's a fresh set of eyes, and it can be a good thing. When I think about war, I know where to go. I go to what is known as the Powell Doctrine. Colin Powell was a 4-star general who became Secretary of State, and he said, these are what you have to ask yourself and answer affirmatively before you take military action. And the first one is a vital national security interest threatened? So, that could, in our case, that could mean something like, posting a picture of Kirk's wife, the mother of his children. That's a threat.
Absolutely.
And I could see that as something that, that's something I could get behind. Here's one that I think we fail on a lot is, do we have a clear, attainable objective? So, I mean, if the objective is to bring down the Boston Globe, I'm not sure how attainable that is, but if we could, so maybe the objective is just to contribute to its own decline that it's bringing on itself. I don't know much about the Globe because I'm not from Boston and they have a paywall. Right. So, that's something you really do have to think about, though, before you take action is what are we trying to do? Like with Riccio, are you trying to shut him up? Are you just trying to get revenge? Because you don't know that giving him attention is going to make him go away.
Right.
So that's why you have to look at the other possible ways to go about it. Then have the risk and costs fully been and frankly analyzed? Well, that's not going to happen. So we could just skip that one.
Right.
Have all nonviolent policy means been fully exhausted? I don't know that that's really something that's looked at too often either, especially if you're fighting old enemies.
Right.
It's kind of been settled. Now, 5 and 6 really come up for the
How many
the
are
war
there?
with the lamb. There's just a couple more, and 7 is the one I really want you to talk about. But 5 and 6 come up with what I call the slaughter by the lambs, because they really got
There's a fucking lot of sheep in this community at the
Yeah,
moment.
they really went in, did not know
Fall
what
into
they were
line,
facing.
boys.
They didn't really look at the costs and the benefits and the risks. But is there a plausible exit strategy to avoid endless entanglement? I don't know. Let's ask the quantum guys. And then
Yeah, that's true.
6, have the consequences of our action fully been considered? And of course not. So 7 is the action supported by the people? And that's where I go back to Mayo and say, what is your criteria for, is it worth it? What war would you get into?
So somebody like Riccio, I personally don't really get involved, but I am very happy that the Minifans mobilize against him. I think the pinnacle of Minifan activism was what they did.
Oh, we're glad you're happy, Mayo.
Finally put fuck off, Menners. Finally put an end to Murchison. And then the Globe, anytime that they're going after bad journalists, because that's something I personally have a lot of investment in, that's something that even behind the scenes I've tried to help with before. Like Breadline Callahan hooking and baiting that Globe magazine writer this week is awesome. I wish the show honestly did more of that. Like, I loved the Cullen episode, but Kirk keeps hinting that he has more stuff he could use against Cullen. Why? I don't know why he's not doing it. I'd rather see him actually expose him again than do, the Cullen episode, honestly.
I'm with you on that. In fact, one of the things when I was reading about Kirk before I even met up on Twitter with some of his followers was that he goes after like biased and kind of slanted and also hypocritical media. And I like that. I like that a lot.
So,
and I would like to see him do it in the future more than talk about the past.
right.
But how is Kirk, shitting on Apple any worse than what I did? I mean, Apple are the biggest distributor of podcasts in the fucking world. And the episode on Monday was Kirk goes to war with Apple. I make a fucking joke about Cameron from Tri-State Running, and it's
great?
censored.
Who's great?
So, fuck off, honestly. Hypocrisy is rife within this
I think
show this week.
A would be you're not Kirk Minahan. So
really? Is that the most insight you got tonight?
Apply. B, Apple's such a big target that, like you said, didn't you just say a few minutes ago that it was clearly a joke targeting Apple?
I'm pretty sure Erica and the people at Barstool weren't fans of that title of the podcast. They pretty much the biggest distributor of podcasts in the world.
Is that an informed guess, or are you just
No, it's not any. It's a guess. It's informed because I'm smarter than you.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, I mean, listen, it's a matter of this.
We'll get back to you being smarter than me this week. Can we circle back to that, Red? I know you have.
We'll get back into that, Zonker. The floor is yours, Zonker. Please.
Well, I'm listening to the argument, and I'm thinking this. Well, yeah, Apple is not necessarily isn't a sponsor, but it is, like a business, kind of a business partner, and also with Barstool. So, yeah, I mean, if Kirk wants to have certain rules, he should make them clear. They should be. I personally want a spreadsheet of enemies because I can't keep track. I don't want to be like on with somebody and realize, oh, you're on with an enemy. Let us know who they are. And as far as censorship goes, and advertisers, censorship always comes on slowly. You start with you can't wear a certain team's apparel, seems harmless enough. The next thing you know, you can't say anything bad about sponsors, which is basically meaning people can buy protection, that you won't you criticize them. And then, you add that in with things like the way Steve gives such, misinformation all the time. And, sometimes Kirk rebukes him on it. Sometimes he doesn't catch it or just lets it go. And you start to get that kind of behavior. And you're like, hey, where, are you becoming the Globe? Like,
yeah, can I clear up some fake news?
You got to hold. What's that?
I want to clear up some fake news from today's show. I mean, it is the rundown.
Yeah.
And in the Friday show, Steve called me Murchison and Riccio, and then actually said, well, maybe Menners will explain why I'm called that. Well, okay, here we go, tough guy. I will explain it. And Mayo knows this. He's one of the few people that knows the truth. I have an
probably edited out of the show that you're on, but yeah.
He didn't actually. I have an open file on Steve Robinson accepting all material on him. It's now closed, but about 6 weeks ago, I received a series of old posts from a blogger called Earl the Pearl. Some of the posts had some politically incorrect terms. They may have referred to a former president as an animal from the jungle. And I'm not saying these are Steve. I'm not saying these are Steve. I have no idea who these are, but they
don't
were
sound
sent
like
to me. They were sent to me. All I did was I sent them to Andy, DC, and MHB, and I said these are expressly not for release. I just want to know what you think of them because I've been handed this kind of bombshell. And then when I wanted peace with Steve, I sent them to him and said, I've sent these. Here you go. Why don't you get them removed from a website called removify.com.au? They can go in and take old posts off. Right. So how am I Murchison and Riccio if I go to Steve with the evidence, say, here it is, buddy. I don't know what this is, but you sort it out. So fuck you, Steve. Everything is a fucking lie that comes out of your mouth. And calling me Murchison and Riccio is a scumbag move, you absolute fucking asshole. I mean, that's the fucking truth. And Mayo, you know it. You know it. I was given that stuff. I sent it to you for your opinion. I said, this stuff cannot be released. So how am I Murchison or Riccio?
That is absolutely true. And we did, and even last night, we didn't even have to say it ahead of time when we did a show together that I knew you didn't want me bringing that up. Even though you kept
exactly.
that
So
file,
I'm not Murchison or Riccio.
What was in it?
Sure, I'm here for a bit of a fight. Sure, I hate Steve, but I'm not a scumbag like he thinks. And for him to turn around like that, it's just a snake move. He should go back to fucking the Republican Party and go back to political radio and fuck off from Kirk because it's a fucking bad union.
So do you think, Mayo, are you concerned? Because I know I have been in the past, and I think we've talked
this show might get pulled down now, by the way.
Yeah,
by the way, you know
what?
Steve did kind of ask for it.
Well, so my question to you, Mayo, is when it comes to censorship, I get concerned. I didn't realize this, and I think I talked about this with John as well, is I didn't realize how much that Steve can really maneuver the facts and the information and get it to Kirk and filter it that way until I started to realize what was really going on behind the scenes and what information he had when it came to some certain things.
Yeah.
And I'm very concerned about that information, how that gets there. I think I referenced it with a certain private chat. I know you've talked about the private chat before. The misinformation that's coming from Steve, is that just straight up lies in your mind?
Yes. He's a liar, Red. Why we go? I mean, a year into the show, it's pretty clear Steve is a fucking liar.
I'm not saying that he's not. My question is
it almost seems like
is he ignorant? He's
a sadistic, conniving fuck.
I almost think I don't see him as that able to connive that well. I think it's almost
because he's also an idiot.
It might be a neurological problem. I've literally known people that can't help themselves.
I think he is very comfortable with lying. I think it's reflexive. Sometimes I think when it comes to reflect or him telling Kirk about DMs he got from us or things like that, sometimes I think he's not being totally honest for the service of the show to create drama and get Kirk mad at us.
Yes.
I don't, this yesterday he said something like, well, Mayo wants Mike's job. Remember he DM'd me demanding an audition in what was clearly a fucking joke, but he's still portraying it to Kirk as if I genuinely tried to get an audition with a $70 ticket to Kirk's own show. As if
Steve tries to, dangle things. He's like a puppeteer. He thinks he can control the Minifans.
He's the producer. So if his
job is not to fucking lie and be a snake behind the scenes. I mean, how is that his job? Kirk goes on air talking about you got to be honest, you got to be truthful every fucking day of the week, and his producer is the opposite.
You want to know the real problem with Steve is he's kind of really ingratiated himself with Kirk in a way where he gets to be a little bit of a parasite.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing when I hear Kirk talk about him, it's a little frustrating because he talks about what he does beyond production, like the Wilbur and Madawaska. And I'm like, yeah, I had an administrative assistant who booked trade shows, facilities, people, all sorts of people to work on them, could make reservations for hundreds of people if she needed to, and still do a lot of other stuff. Like maybe she couldn't do sound production, but Steve's not that great either. I mean, the best thing probably for him to do would be to take Steve a little off the air, like one day a week, and bring in somebody else and see if anyone really clicks, and then give Steve that day to focus on the stuff that he's really not doing that well at. Like the YouTube channel could be way better organized, things like that.
Well, so Zonker, I've seen you on Twitter. You seem to be drafting behind Steve when it comes to his tweets and some of the things that he's, tweeting about that he's not talking about on the show when it comes to the politics and everything else. Other than Steve being a liar, which I think obviously we all agree on, what are your other impressions of Steve? Have you seen anybody like this? And when you've been looking at other podcasts or other shows, he's a fascinating character study for me. I'm just curious what you're thinking about him.
Well, I mean, like pundits on both sides of the issue He on both sides of any issue or both sides of the partisan divide. He has a tendency to make, kind of spurious arguments, but kind of things where it sounds intelligent, but if you really dig into it, it makes no sense. And the day that I kind of started to go after him was he picked some random person off of Twitter that said something stupid so that he could argue against it, which was the easiest thing in the world to do. And I pointed it out to him. And then the next thing he did was say that he had said something before but he hadn't said the same thing. He said something that wasn't all that funny. That was like, basically in the same line as what the guy had said, but he wanted credit for it. And I was like, I just can't watch this anymore. When I came in, people were talking about how he's a liar. And I'm like, maybe it's just an act for the show. I couldn't tell because I'm listening to BA and BA doesn't seem like he really doesn't like Steve, but he's collecting his lies. So, I didn't know what to think. But as I noticed him and even stuff that, the little bit I DM'd with him that he shared with Kirk, he left stuff out of that. And I was like, that seems on purpose,
He's a snake.
Yeah.
So
an example of the quintessential Steve lie real quick was links this week, where he says something like, all the links in my life have been great, implying like there are many links in my life, people named Link or whatever the dumb fucking name he recommended was. And he's not used to getting pressed on it. And when he gets pressed on it, he's talking about one person who might not be real and then a fucking video game character.
Yes.
But Steve first represents it like he's
no, you don't have a leg to stand on. You're the one that ran to Steve with a little bit of audio as soon as we finished recording.
But,
you fucking pussy, honestly.
If I may,
you literally torpedoed your own reputation. You've ruined my show.
Oh, no.
You torpedoed your own reputation.
My reputation.
Hold on.
Yes,
Before we get there,
you're a fake tough guy. You're a fake tough guy. Someone says something a little bit on the line, and you fucking run to Steve as soon as you can. It was pathetic. And then that fucking hatchet job at the end.
Was I right?
No, you weren't right. They played the fucking audio on the show. If it was that bad, would they have played it on the main show? On the main show, they played it. Can't have been that bad.
All right, Manners, calm down. You do your best work with your little
want that airing. Manners, Kirk explained it to you today, and all you said was, "Oh, sure, I never thought."
He also said if you hadn't flagged it, it would have just got through.
Explain it to me that they might not want people on their YouTube channel trashing a sponsor.
I wasn't trashing a sponsor. I had some very good advice for Cameron. He should fucking listen.
It was my show. It was my call, and I would make that fucking decision every single time.
Well, you're a fake tough guy then, yeah. It should be like Andy fucking Flop or something.
Mayo, were you really that concerned? From what I heard today with what Menner said about a sponsor who's a Minifan who I think would be in on the joke, and I understand what Kirk is saying when he talks about other people, because I do believe there's other people that have shows that could not maneuver this the way that Menner's does. But were you really that concerned about it that you had to share it with them?
Obviously, because I shared it with him, yeah.
But
I wasn't concerned. I wasn't losing sleep. I DM'd Steve and I sent him the clip and I said, hey, heads up. This is in the show I just submitted to you guys. You tell me.
And you told Menners about it?
And I told Menners at 1:35.
Afterwards.
No.
Afterwards. You didn't say, can I submit this to Steve? Anyway, it's your show. You just a fake shithead. You're a fake dissenting voice. I know I'm not saying you didn't send it to me, but the fact is.
And Menners, wait, let me tell you, listen to the fiery response from Menners that sounds just like the way he does right now. Here's his response when I
didn't have time to think about it, and I didn't realize I was going to get my show canceled because of you.
How did the rest turn out? Whoa, Menners, you're right. I am a fake tough guy.
As I've been really clear, there's one thing going into DMs. Do you want me to DM you and call you an asshole? I mean, I can do that if you want. I can send you a DM calling you a cunt.
You had no problem with me doing it. You had
I want to point out something.
I do have a problem. When have I been on a show with you since then?
I want to point out something before.
Hold on, Mayo, hold on.
There's a point I want to say before I forget, which is the whole thing on the show about how, we're worried about some stupid guy doing it. What Menners did was actually okay. We even talked about it on the show. If that was true, why have they never put out that as a kind of an edict for all the shows? Why did they simply hold on. Why would they simply quietly censor Menners and not even say anything until Menners brought it up? If they were trying to make that point that they don't want people doing that, why haven't they made that point? Why did that point only come up as a defense?
Good point. And also Steve's response was, shut up, Mayo. Steve's response was, go fuck a kangaroo. Shut up, Mayo. Steve could have said to me, look, everything he said was fine, but we've got a rule, nothing about the sponsors. But because Steve is unable to have, normal human interactions. He couldn't even do that. So fuck him. I mean, if I was sent a message from Steve saying, look, everything he said was fine, but I don't want you to say anything about the sponsors in future. It's just a slippery slope. Okay, I would have taken it on the chin, but I would have got where he's coming from. But the way they did it, just terrible.
Right now, make some jokes about a sponsor. If it's no big deal, Red. Make a joke about Sheffield's and how it tastes. What's it taste like?
Well, hold on there, man. I'm not saying that it's not a big deal. What I'm saying is that I think Menners handled it the right way, and I also think the show handled it the right way where they addressed it. I'm just saying I don't think it needed to be edited out of the show. I think it could have stayed in the show, and then they still could have addressed it today. Either way is fine. I was just hoping that you would apologize.
I'm not apologizing
for editing your show.
I edit my show. You've been on my show 90 minutes, 30 minutes of it is me being
I talk, you
I edit
talk.
that out.
I talk, you talk. Hold on. Misrepresenting the truth. And then now you have a show that nobody's going to want to come on because, one, you edit it. You're Big Brother Mayo. Okay, you're a Karen now.
I edit it.
Where you're snitching on people.
Spot on.
Number one, okay, so you're snitching on people. Number two, you had that terrible ending to the show.
Oh, yeah, I can't defend the ending.
Which totally torpedoed the whole thing. You haven't had a nickel's worth of free advice. In 3 weeks, you get fucking Menners on there. You edit it and then end it with that. Come on, man. You got to apologize for all of these things.
I stand by everything I said in that last piece, but the execution was terrible. But the message and the ideas in it and every conclusion I came to, an argument I made, I stand by 100%. I was right about everything I said in there, but it was a terrible segment. I should have just saved it. Never should have added it. It's so glaring because I've never been that bad before. That's why it stands out so much.
I mean, it is true. You've been completely disarmed. You've been
snitching is just naive. I DM'd them. It's their channel. Somebody on the show said something bad about a sponsor. That issue has come up on their show.
It was mild.
It's their show.
It was a 1.5 out of 10.
They deserve to make that call.
But can't you see, Mayo, that let's say that
every other YouTube show.
I talk, you talk. Hey, John Dennis, I talk, you talk. Hold on. The floor is mine. I'm a host. I'm going to get out of the way. But imagine you were in the Discord. Patrick was there. He saw something that he thought maybe was questionable. He took a screenshot of it and then he sent it to Steve or Kirk or whoever else. Don't you think Big Brother Patrick, there would be room for some criticism there in that censoring, in that Big Brother watch that he would be doing? Don't you think? Wouldn't you have a problem with that if he did that?
No, because Discord has rules like don't threaten to kill people and things like that. The YouTube channel has a rule, which they may not have explicitly stated, but I'm not a dumbass and I knew enough to ask, hey, maybe you guys don't want this happening. You tell me since it's your channel.
Complete bullshit. I mean, you even said to me I was a 1.5 out of 10. I mean, I was mild. It was amusing. In fact, it was good advice for Cameron. He should fucking listen to me. So honestly, Mayo, you were wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Your judgment was way off. The only thing I can get behind with this is Kirk True. DJK, for example, is a Menners copycat. So in 2 weeks, he might come out and, rail against the sponsor, but not be as, clever as me. Like, he'll actually do it to, non-Minifan sponsors. So I can see that's the only thing I can get behind, that there's these Menners wannabes and they'll fuck it up.
Here's what I said to Steve. I said, I'm going to share a clip with you where Menners gives a critical take of the Tri-State Guys video with Eric.
Well, your first mistake was sending him the fucking message, Mayo. I mean, you're this contrarian in the thing. We do one nickel's worth, and then you send an on-the-line comment to Steve. I mean,
Mayo,
it's incredible.
Mayo, one thing for sure is you should have talked to Menners first. I mean, there's no way around that.
I knew he might be mad. It wasn't his decision. It's my show. It's my responsibility. There's nothing he could have said to change my mind. As soon as I told Steve, I told Menners. Steve asked me not to tell Menners, and I said I already did because I'm.
He couldn't stop you. He couldn't stop you.
Oh,
you had nothing
to stop me from going to Steve. It was my show. It was my fucking call.
Right, you could do it, but why not at least give him the heads up or a chance to make his case?
I did give him, because I'm telling you, it wasn't a discussion as to what I was going to do. It was my decision to make, and I made it.
Right, but you still could have let him know you were going to do it.
I did let him know.
No, it's good. Zonker, you know what? It's good. We've exposed Mayo now as the fake tough guy that he is. Yeah, he's just another fucking pussy. Honestly, you should scrap your show and go back to that fucking circus tent every night.
I do worry. One, you don't have the circus tent, so that cuts me deep. But two,
it's very uncomfortable in there.
Do you worry about being able to get people on your show from now on going forward?
I can never do the show again. It's fine. I don't care. Actually, I have Dummy from the Discord is supposed to come on. Mark,
you're gonna have Dummy from the Discord on there. You're gonna have to censor that thing up the wall
to trash me. The theme of the next episode is trashing me. Mark from Chicopee, who told me and Menners in the live chat of the show that we're, quote, not good at discussion. Whatever that means, he's going to come on and explain that. So, I've got some headliners. I mean, they're not Menners, but they'll suffice.
No, I'm going to end every show with a 5-minute monologue begging for attention from Kirk and Steve.
I don't care what anybody thinks about that decision. I respect that you don't like it, but I made it and I stand by it. And I don't think I was wrong. And I don't think there's anything you could say to convince me I was wrong.
Well, you fucked me over. That's all I can say. You fucked my show over. You fucked me over. You've got into bed with Steve Robinson, that fucking SS officer ass, and fuck him.
I will say it was really telling when Steve was calling Menners a Australian Brian Riccio today. And as much as you tweet out there, Mayo, about just about everything, I didn't see a lot of support from Menners when that was happening. So and I know Menners was sleeping during that time, so he was getting attacked and being called a Brian Riccio, and I didn't see you have his back in that situation. I wanted you to comment on that because it seemed like you kind of left Menners hanging out to dry there a little bit.
Well, I feel okay. I feel bad about it.
Yeah, and you're the only one that knows the truth. I sent you the post from Steve. Or no, sorry, allegedly from Steve. Yeah. I sent them to you, so you know that Steve is full of shit. I took that stuff to him 2 weeks ago and said, I want peace. Let's do a show together. Here's all the stuff I've been sent.
But what do you lie about there? I thought he said you sent it to him, and he said he just didn't care.
No, he calls me a Murchison or a Riccio. I didn't send it to him and say, if you don't release this, I'm going to, send it to the fucking Boston Globe or something. I gave it to him to have removed. Do you think Murchison went to Kirk and said, oh, look, can you take that audio down, please? I mean, fucking hell, Mandy. I thought you were smarter than that.
What is
matters? Hold on a minute.
What does that have to do with what happened on our show?
Zonker, hold on. Zonker, the floor is yours. Please, go ahead.
Well, I'm just Menners, when Steve says stupid shit, most people know it's stupid shit. And the people who don't know it, they're kind of useless anyway.
Okay, Zonker, Murchison and Riccio are real enemies.
I know.
It's not
I know
a fucking joke with them. Okay, if he called me, I don't know, Kelleher, okay, fine. Whatever. I can that's, but it's true. But calling me Murchison and Riccio is a scumbag move, especially when I took the stuff to him and said, here you go. I mean,
that's true. You're right. You're right, Menners.
He's totally frightened of you. That's why he acts that way. He's frightened of you. He doesn't know how to deal with you. He's out of his league. He's not used to people who see through his bullshit and call him on it.
He's doing it to get this reaction, Menners.
So this is
it's a nuclear bomb. He can toss at you. He's calling you those things to get this reaction from you, to get you riled up and pissed.
Right. I think that's not at all. He knows it'll get under my skin. He knows it'll get under my skin.
I know Steve is watching this right now.
I think in some ways he's hoping I'll release these posts because he said on the show a couple of weeks ago, to be a good time for dirt to come out because everyone's distracted with coronavirus. Maybe he's trying to incite me to do something. I'm not that stupid to fall for his tricks.
Well, man, did you listen today? I'm sorry. Did you listen today? Because he said he's going to release them.
Yeah, okay, do it then. Do it.
Okay.
So I sent him 5 different posts. He can release them. Go on, Earl the Pearl Robertson. If you're that much of a tough guy, release them, Steve. Or is he already trying to have this show taken down right now, like he did last night to Menace to Midnight when I just fucking spoke the truth?
I did warn him with this whole thing. I said in the DM to him, you do realize if you tell me to clip it, Menners is going to bring this up and you're going to bring more attention to this issue than you would have if you just left it in the show. But I feel like it's their decision to make. And again, I just stand by that. It's their fucking channel and it's a sponsor. It didn't seem like a decision that Mayo should be making.
I agree with what you're saying. You're not necessarily
a snitch and a rat. So
you're not necessarily wrong, Mayo. You're just you handled it a really shitty way.
No, he's wrong, Red. He's 100% wrong.
Well, that could also be true. Now, here's my
the only other show that's put stuff to the guys to have edited is Channel Zero. I mean, you don't see the Mincel guys who actually know what they're doing running off. Oh, is this joke okay, Stevie? Is this joke okay?
I think because they're smart enough not to speak negatively of a sponsor.
Are you saying I'm dumb or something? Because
I'm
every
saying-
time they do a tri-state ad, they
Tri-state
say they're Minifans. Every time. Cameron put those things on the YouTube channel. He put those things out there for consumption. So, hello, you can comment on it.
Oh, so where was this argument with Kirk today, Manners?
I was
Well,
half
he called him at
asleep.
midnight.
I was
What is he
half
supposed to do?
asleep.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and I don't disagree with the copycat theory. I don't disagree with that because I played on Menace to Midnight. DJK will impersonate me word for word, so I could see where it could go wrong. And just to
Absolutely.
clear up, Kirk has convinced me to keep Menace to Midnight going
Thank God.
for a little while longer. It won't be live, but he's convinced me to keep it going.
So it was
Okay, well, wait, I have something else I
45
want to just.
minutes?
Yeah, please.
It's obviously
Zonker,
up.
floor is yours.
It is obviously up to Mayo when he does his show to say, okay, maybe this will be a problem. And he's gotten picked on a lot and given hassles a lot. So it's okay for him to say, "Let me check. I'm not sure if this is okay." But he has to discuss it with you first. It's underhanded if he doesn't discuss it with you. So you have to be ready for it. You should be able to make your case about it. And even if he brings it up to Steve or Kirk and say, you should be able to say to them, no, I think it's okay to leave it in. And man, I got to tell you, it's not like what he did was stupid, because even Kirk said, no, he did okay because it was another mini fan and they go in on the joke and it's okay. So you can't say what he did was stupid. And the whole excuse that they took it out to send a message to the other guys, they didn't send a message. Menners is the one who had to bring it up.
Yeah, I guess not stupid, but it's just I'm surprised that Menners that he seems surprised by their reaction to it, or that they would say to take it out. And
Because it was on the line. I mean, it was true, Mayo. It was true. I was on the line. It was a valid comment. I didn't double down. It's not like I called them, my favorite C word or something. What?
Yeah, it was nothing. It was mild.
So you're a fucking idiot then. If you can say it's mild now, but you took it to Steve, then you're a scared asshole. Honestly, you should be reading your own psychology books and working out what's fucking wrong with you instead of commenting on Kirk.
There's no
So-
working that out.
Fuck off.
So Takashi 69 Mayo.
Who is Takashi 69? And help me,
he's-
am I a bigger rat than him?
Well, yeah. So he's a SoundCloud rapper who snitched
is
on
a
everybody. I don't listen, Boomer. Listen, he's a SoundCloud rapper who got in trouble because he snitched on a bunch of people so he could not get further jail time. So anyway, I'm just going along the snitching storyline here. I'm going to catch you up. So I'm going to kick it back to you, Mayo. My question is to you. You do understand, because I see you going off all the time. I
Low-hanging
see,
Mayo, man.
What?
It needs a fucking boost. Menner's turtles. with
Hold on,
Kirk
hold-
today. And
hold
now
on.
it's like, let's do 30 minutes on Mayo snitching.
well, this
That's true. That's true. There's other things to get to.
How did I turtle? Because you weren't on the phone call when Kirk rang last night. So it's not like I could take you on then. So I'm actually doing the opposite. I'm doing it to you face to face.
All I'm trying to do, Mayo, the floor is mine. Mayo, shut the fuck up. Listen, all I'm saying is I'm going to kick it to you and then you guys can go. To me, the thing I keep coming back to is it's a comedy show. It's a comedy show first. Everything is satire. You seem to, Mayo, go off all the time. Every time you have a thought, you're like Julie DeCaro. Every time you have a thought, you just tweet it out. You take this very seriously. My question to you is, do you understand that this is a comedy show and it's not that serious, right?
Yes, I think it's a very funny show. I think even to everybody, people like me taking it seriously, and Menners is not exactly a bastion of calmness right now. I think he's taking it pretty seriously too.
Well, yeah, but that's because you snitched him out. I mean, you
I'm
got
also
sold
pissed
out.
at Steve Robinson calling me a Murchison and Riccio. Really.
That's out of line. That whole Merchants and Riccio
Coming from
thing
that asshole.
was really out of line. That whole Merchants and Riccio thing.
I think Menners, it's displaced rage. I think you're mad at him. I think you're mad at Kirk, but
I'm mad at both of you. I'm mad at you and Steve.
Well, I was hoping for some resolution here, but
well, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen on this show. It's for sure.
The only resolution is we can all agree on Kirk is better than Mariah Carey. I think that's something that we can all get behind.
That's absolutely true.
Well, he can't sing in 5 octaves, though.
He is a very good singer, though.
He's a shit singer. He's a bad impressionist too. He did Tony Soprano the other day, and it was Kevin Cullen. Cullen is like the only voice he can do that's even in the ballpark of sounding like the person he's trying to sound like.
He's got like 2 or 3 voices.
Yeah, he's a terrible impressionist. The show desperately needs an impressionist. That's Mike should fill that role, but he hasn't. But I've been told not to talk about Mike anymore.
Wow. All right. Well, it seems like we're kind of
You know
wrapping
what?
up here.
He's got
Zonker, go
he's
ahead.
got a quick wit. It's the thing with Kirk is he has a really quick wit, and that's really what works, and is able to keep 3 hours going. Although I have to admit, I feel sometimes like less could be more. There are times it feels like certain bits are stretched out for time, but I mean overall, I mean the guy is able to do that many hours a week is crazy.
No, it's nuts what he's able to do, and then he's hopping in Zooms with the fans and everything else. He's an absolute workhorse. I've never seen anything like it. I'm going to kick it to another workhorse here, Menners. As we're kind of wrapping things up here, is there anything else we haven't touched on that you want to hit? Because I wanted to give you this space to be able to, because Mayo has already broken your trust. He's a terrible Minifan. I think he's a terrible human being. He's being quite the cunt about it, and he won't apologize. But I want to give you the space, Menners. So please, the floor is yours.
I guess just, this is the rundown. So obviously during the week, I felt a lot of sympathy for the Mamma Mia pizza restaurant as another small restaurant owner that's been in the crosshairs of the show in the past. I know that's quite a harrowing experience. So I just send my love out to Mamma Mia Pizza. I hope they rally through this tough time while the KMS show rains down on them from high above. And I just guess that you cannot describe the Kirk Minahan show world any better than saying it started off with fighting with Apple and Riccio and ended with a battle with Mariah Carey, the Lamely. I mean, that is the Kirk Min show world in a nutshell. And in the middle, they had Mayo getting destroyed, which was probably one of the more amusing elements of the week.
I think so.
It was bad.
As we're parting here, Mayo, is there anything else you'd like to apologize for? Is there anything else we can call you out for?
So Kirk said that in explaining why they didn't want the thing about a sponsor being on the YouTube channel, he said it's a business. Yes. And that's really how I look at it. Okay, Manners, then why are you so upset with me for thinking they might want me to clear it with them?
Because you yourself just apologize. Just fucking apologize. You know you were wrong. You're a fucking scared asshole. You're a coward. Wave the yellow flag, wave the white flag, and
Hey, can we set up a Zoom and do this after too?
Yeah, we might have to do that. They're still there. Anything else, man? Because this is probably the last time you'll be on a show.
You can't hammer me on this for 30 minutes and then be like, "Oh, he's still going on." Oh my god,
man! I actually still like you. I just think you're really wrong here.
Listen, Mayo, this comes from a place of
apologize. I didn't do anything wrong.
This comes from a place of love. Don't get angry. See, you're lashing out. You're projecting. Okay, this comes from a place of love. There's 3 other people who actually love you here. Even Menners loves you. Okay,
no, I don't.
I would go that far.
My one regret is that it's overshadowed what I thought was a good show with Menners.
Okay,
I do regret that.
And Nick says he loves you too. By the way, so there's that. So. This is probably the last time we're going to see you, Mayo. I really appreciate you being on this show. Nickels worth of free advice. It had that one show run this week. It was the first time I'd seen it. It was great, and now it's gone. So I apologize for that.
One with Kirk.
Oh,
yeah,
I didn't
give it a listen.
That was like 4 weeks ago. I didn't realize that. Yeah. What Menners? So you will be back to midnight, right? This show is coming back, just not live. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm still scrambling at the moment after Mayo just fucked me over. So as I said, Kirk has asked me to continue the show. He's personally asked me to keep it going and said I should just, suck it up and not do it live. So I'll see. I'll talk to my producer, Justin, and see what we can do. But we'll be taking calls, but it won't be live, so it'll lose a lot of the buzz. Look, Steve's got his little victory. Him and Mayo have conspired to cuckold.
Thanks a lot, Mayo.
The only true, dissenting voice. This is Entercom Mark II. There'll be a dump button soon in Steve's office, and he'll just dump anything he doesn't agree with. So that's the future.
Thanks a lot, Mayo. Zonker, anything else before we go? Thank you for doing this.
Well, no, I really appreciate, I really don't love doing this kind of stuff, but I really appreciate that you guys wanted me on and asked me a couple of times. And, I tell you what, I've had a great time with all the Minifans. Everybody's treated me so well. I just want to thank everyone.
Awesome. Hey, listen, I love this show. It's a collaboration. It's for the fans, by the fans. If people want to come on, more than welcome to have them. There will be no editing. Okay, we're not going to do any of that to you. If we do, we'll let you know. Menners, Zonker, you're more than welcome back. Mayo, it's been nice knowing you. As you get excommunicated from this world, I appreciate you. I love you, but
who's excommunicating me? You?
Well, no, I'm
Fans
just
or Kirk?
assuming. I'm assuming. I don't know how you're ever going to get on a show again because you're Big Brother Mayo. You're Karen. You're a Karen now. This is what
Well, I got
happened.
on this one 36 hours later.
I know that's true.
Yeah.
Well done. So anyway, but this is for the
Can I
fans.
just
But
conclude by paraphrasing the great Vince McMahon to say Mayo didn't fuck Menners, Menners fucked Menners.
oh Jesus, Christ.
Fuck
You're
off.
not-
Honestly, you have a knack for ending shows badly, don't you?
Just
Strong point.
You
Get
know
the
what?
fuck out of the way, Mayo.
And this one other thing, by the way, Menners, I'm a big fan. And it was really great to actually do a show with you. And
Yeah,
Mayo,
same,
I've always
Zonker.
liked you too. I thought you did a great interview with Kirk. I think
I
you're
know I
pretty
did.
good on air, but I think you get pretty stubborn. And you saw the picture of the hole I sent you. That's kind of when you decide to dig in. That's kind of sometimes where you wind up. But I think overall, I still like you. I think you do a good show, and I think you care about things.
I don't like him anymore. It's over.
I know you'll get over it.
Way beneath the Mariah Carey war on the list of things I could give a fuck about is what you guys think about me, Steve, about
It's a
that.
good time
So
to
I
drop it
appreciate
out.
Zonker.
All right, well,
sending me
that's
pictures
that's
and
fine
all,
then.
but
All right. Well, we'll leave it at that.
metaphor.
Less is more, Mayo. Less is more. Don't tweet every time you have an idea. Just maybe think about it before you press send. Apologize to Menners in the DMs. It's what you do
Please.
best. Zonker, thank you very much. For the fans, by the fans, this is the rundown. Thank you, Kirk Minahan. Love you all. Have a good night. God bless.
Can we yell at each other in the backstage?